Spiritual Christianity, collected from the theological works of Emanuel Swedenborg, a continuation of Chapter 5. From Arcana Celestia 9378. It is a universal law in the other life that all are joined in association together, according to their love of the goodness and of the truth which they receive from the Lord, and hence the whole heaven is such a conjunction. In that life, also the distance of one from another is entirely in agreement with the dissimilitudes and diversities in the interior states of their thoughts and affections. From Arcana Celestia 9346. Evil and good states of mind are opposite or contrary to each other, and two opposites or contraries cannot be together, for they have a mutual aversion and struggle the one against the other. This may appear evident from the consideration that evil states of the mind are from hell, and good states from heaven, and hell is most remote from heaven, not as to distance, for there is no distance in the other life, but as to mental state. And from Heaven and Hell, number 42. Angelic societies in the heavens are distant from one another according to their general and specific differences of goodness. For distances in the spiritual world have no other origin than the differences in the state of their interior faculties, and thus in the heavens from the differences in their states of love. There is a great distance when there is much difference, and on the contrary there is but little distance between them, if there be but little difference between them. Similitude causes them to be together. And from Divine Love and Wisdom, number 124. It has already been mentioned that angels dwell distinct from one another, some in the eastern region, others in the western, some in the southern, and others in the northern, and that they who dwell in the east are in a superior degree of love, and they who are in the west in an inferior degree, and that they who are in the south are in the light of wisdom, and that they who are in the shade of wisdom are in the north. It appears as if this diversity of abodes were from the Lord, as the Son of that world, but such is not the case, for the diversity is from the angels. It is not the Lord who has a greater or lesser degree of love and of wisdom. It is not he who, as the Son of heaven, has a greater or less degree of heat and of light with one than another, for he is everywhere the same. But he is not received by one in a like degree as by another, and this causes them to appear to themselves to be more or less distant from one another, and also variously situated according to different regions. It follows from this that the regions in the spiritual world are nothing else but various receptions of love and wisdom, and derive from this of heat and of light from the Lord, as the spiritual Son. That this is so follows from the demonstrations already given in this work that distances in the spiritual world are appearances. From Arcana Celestia 9666. It should be borne in mind that when the extreme part of heaven is mentioned, it does not mean an extreme boundary of space, but an extreme state of goodness and of truth. For in heaven there is no space, but only the appearance of it according to their states of goodness and of truth. And from Apocalypse Explained 1219. The objects in heaven being like those in our world, there are in the heavens spaces as well as times. But then the spaces there, as the lands or countries themselves and the objects upon them, are appearances. For they appear in agreement with the states of the angels, and the extensions of spaces and distances according to dissimilitudes and similitudes in their states. By states are meant states of love and wisdom, or of affection and of the thoughts, which are their product, and these are manifold and various. It is according to these states of mind that the angelic societies are distant from one another in the heavens, and the heavens also from the hells, as well as the societies in the latter from one another. It has been permitted me to see how similitude of state cojoins and contracts the extension of space, or the distance, and how dissimilitude separates and produces an extension of space or distance. They whom the sight would judge to be at a mile distant from one another can be present in a moment when the love of one towards another is excited, and on the contrary, they who are conversing together can in a moment be separated a mile asunder when enmity is excited. That spaces in the spiritual world are but appearances were evident to me by this, that many became present to me who were inhabitants of distant lands, and the various countries of Europe, Africa, and India, who were inhabitants of the planets also, and of distant earths. Though spaces in the heavens appear extended, just like the spaces on our earth, yet the very spaces there have no other than a spiritual or mental origin, and have not at the same time a natural origin. And on that account they make their appearance in agreement with the states of angels. On this account, angels can have no idea of spaces, but they have instead an idea of their own states of mind. For when any changes of place appear, they have an idea of them from their origin, which is spiritual, and thus from the similitudes or dissimilitudes of affections and of the thoughts which flow from them. It is the same with times, for in the same way as spaces are constituted, so are times, progressions by spaces, being also progressions by times. The Son of Heaven, that is the Lord, does not produce days and years there, as the mundane sun appears to do here by revolutions and progressions, for these progressions are in the other life the appearances of states. For this reason there is perpetual light in the heavens and a perpetual spring. The times there are in consequence not fixed, stated, and measurable, but vary according to the states of their affections and of the thoughts which are their effects, so that in delightful states of affections they are shortened and protracted when in states of sorrow. Angels therefore can have no idea of time from the appearance, but from the origin of time they have an idea of their states of mind. It follows then from this that they have not a natural but a spiritual idea of space and time, which is an idea of their state of mind. But there is no idea of a state of mind, nor derive from this an idea of the appearance of space and time, except it be in the ultimate objects of creation there, and from them, which ultimate objects are the countries upon which angels dwell. There the spaces and times appear, and not in the spiritual states themselves from which the ultimate objects are created, nor even in their affections do they appear, unless the thought from those affections pervade the mind down to those ultimate objects. It is different in the natural world, where the spaces and the times are fixed, stated, and measurable, and where they, in consequence, enter the thoughts of men, form a boundary to them, and distinguish them from the spiritual thoughts of angels. This it is which, above all, makes it so difficult for men to comprehend the divine omnipresence and omniscience. For in his desire to comprehend these divine properties, he is apt to fall into the error of supposing that God is in the innermost principle of nature, and in that way omnipresent and omniscient. Divine Love and Wisdom, number 70. All who die and become angels are divested of the two properties of nature, space, and time, for they then enter into spiritual light, in which the objects of their thought are truths, and the objects of their light are similar to those objects which are seen in the natural world, but corresponding to their thoughts. It is said that the objects of their thoughts are truths, which truths draw nothing whatever from space and time. And although the objects of their light appear indeed as if they were in space and time, they do not think from them. The cause of this is that spaces and times in the world are not fixed as in this, but change according to the states of their life. Hence they have the states of their life in the ideas of their thought instead of spaces and times. Instead of spaces, all the particulars involved in their states of love, and those which are involved in their states of wisdom instead of time. In this consists the difference betwixt spiritual thought and spiritual speech, which is its effect, a natural thought, a natural speech, which is its effect. A difference so wide as to have nothing in common between them except as to the interior causes of things, all of which are spiritual. Now it follows from this that as the thoughts of angels are not drawn from space and time, but from states of life, upon it being said that the divine essence fills spaces, this they are unable to comprehend, for they know not what the spaces of the natural mind are. But when it is said, abstracted from the idea of space, that the divine essence fills all things, that they clearly comprehend. From Arcana Celestia 7337. It is according to order in the other life, states of affection and of thought cause the idea of place and distance, and that angels appear mutually at such a distance as they are in a different state. This law of order is from the divine essence, that all who are in the greatest man may be mutually distant from one another. And from Arcana Celestia 9104. Distances in the other life are appearances arising from some diversity in their states of life, and the desire to speak with another is a state of mind which produces conjunction. From this source, it is that they who have been nearly connected in the world either by love, friendship, or veneration come together in that life whenever they desire it, but are afterwards separated according to dissimilitudes in their states of life. From Arcana Celestia 4882. In the spiritual world, or in the heaven, nothing of space and time enters their ideas, but whatever is comprehended in their states of life instead. Space, indeed, appears to spirits and angels, for they, as well as ourselves, walk about and move from place to place, just in a similar way as it appears to man, and yet they are but changes in their states of life that produces that appearance. And from Divine Love and Wisdom, number 75. Times, which are the properties of nature in its world, are pure states of the mind in the spiritual world, which states appear progressive there because angels and spirits are finite. It follows, therefore, that in God they are not progressive because he is infinite, and the infinites in him are one. And from this it also follows that the divine essence in all time is himself devoid of time or progression.